Discovered my husband secretly gave our house to his mom after I paid the mortgage for years. Now it's getting auctioned and we're getting divorced. I'm 38F, married to my husband, Alex, 37M, for 3 years. My married life has been going on pretty normal until yesterday when I found something very suspicious in my husband's study room. I met my husband around 6 years ago. I was new to the city then with a new job. Alex was already settled here, living with 2 of his brothers in a rented condo. His family ran a grocery store in the suburb. We dated for a few years, during which he bought the house and paid for the down payment. It was actually due to his house plans that our wedding plans got delayed. Alex wanted to have a house before getting married. He had a thing about owning a house. But soon after the marriage, he lost his job and was struggling to pay the mortgage. I covered it for a few months until he got a new job. But his new job didn't pay him enough to keep everything afloat. So, we got into an agreement that I would pay the mortgage and he would add me to the deed as the co-owner. It looked like a fair deal to me. The new job in the city was paying me well, and after working here for 2 years, I had saved enough to buy a property, so what better deal than this? So for the last 3 years after marriage, I have been paying the house mortgage, and it is only 7 months left for the mortgage. Yesterday, I was at home alone and out of boredom decided to clean the house. I usually don't enter his study room because he doesn't like his stuff to be moved. But I don't know what happened to me this time that I cleaned the study. While cleaning one of the bookshelves, I stumbled on an envelope with the name of the housing society we were living in. When I opened it, I found it to be an updated house deed. I thought Alex had updated it to add me as the co-owner, but no, he had changed the ownership of the house to his mom. Yes, the house for which I was paying the mortgage for the last 3 years, he had given it to his mom and he didn't even inform me. I checked the date of the document and found it to be months ago. So he had deliberately not told me about this. He was hiding this. Since then my mind has been racing with several possible stories behind this. I couldn't think of any good reason why he would do that. It looks purely evil, and now I feel I've been married to a stranger. I'm yet to confront him regarding this. Rather, I don't want to confront him without digging deep into the matter. I took pictures of those papers to get it checked with my lawyer, and until I get the details from him, I'm going to put on this pretentious mask in the same way he has been doing it for years. Update 1. Hello all, I got the details from my lawyer friend regarding the house deed, and it came out that this was the most recent one. Indeed, Alex has transferred the ownership to his mom. Since there are a few months of the mortgage, the deed talked about the ownership post the mortgage. I felt so betrayed. I was working my ass off, making all those big and small sacrifices to pay the mortgage so that he could get rid of the Emmy, and then he gave the house to his mom and I have no clue about it. I wanted to have a full-blown confrontation with him right away, but he wasn't in the town. Few months back, Alex was offered a new expansion project of setting up a new team in the adjacent city. So, he is mostly out of town and visits home monthly or twice a month. I wanted to have a direct conversation instead of a phone call. And gladly I waited. Because while waiting for him I planned on my revenge instead of just letting it go with an argument. Actually, I didn't plan the revenge intentionally, but it happened eventually. A week later, after discovering that paper, I got a text from Alex reminding me about paying the mortgage. That text made my blood boil, and at that moment I instantly decided not to pay for any further Amy's. That's when I decided to avenge my betrayal. I went to the bank and changed the contact details from Alex's number and email ID to mine so that he doesn't get the payment reminder and calls. Alex had to confirm that change. I told him that I wanted this to be changed so that I get the payment intimation. He was fine. Once that was done, I turned deaf ears to their payment reminder and calls. I have already defaulted for 3 months, and I got a message from the bank that if I don't pay for another couple of months, the house will be auctioned. Good for me. But there is more to it. I had to find out why Alex did so. Brief context about Alex and his family. So Alex's family is from down south. Don't want to name the place to avoid unnecessary conflicts in the comments. They were never able to own a house because his dad had to start his living from scratch. Alex had 4 siblings and it was difficult for them to own a house while providing for a family of 7. While we were dating, Alex told me that he always wanted to own a house before starting a family. Actually, this was an inherent dream of his parents, but since they couldn't afford one, Alex wanted to make sure that his children grew up in their own home, which they call an ancestral house. I never suspected anything shady. I understand owning a house holds sentimental value apart from a sense of security and stuff like that. It could also be possible that he wanted to have it for his parents and hid his intentions from me because I would disapprove. I mean, obviously, anyone would disapprove of that. I understand the sentiment and emotional connection to do something for your parents which they have been longing for years, which they couldn't afford. With due respect to that, we cannot ignore that it should be from his money and not mine. He cannot do this, keeping me in the dark. Anyways, it is needless to say that our married life went for a toss. We both were playing mind games. As a couple, we were never very cheesy and mushy. Sometimes I used to initiate romantic date nights, but now I stopped doing it and Alex never complained about it. Also, he was living in a different city for the project and occasionally came home, making everything so much better for me. I'll make an update if anything progresses. Update 2. Hello all, thanks for all the suggestions. Some of you commented asking me to find the reason behind his move instead of assuming things and ruining everything. Even my lawyer friend suggested so. I thought about it and decided to dig into the matter. Initially, I tried to find out the truth myself, but after brainstorming a lot, I still was not able to figure out anything. Yes, I was anticipating an angle of affairs as well. I tried checking his phone when he came home, but it was clean. Instead of spending days and nights scratching my head, I hired a pie on Alex. It was expensive, but it was worth it to get rid of the uncertainty I was going through. It took almost a month for the pie to get me all the details. Apart from the already known information like the ownership of the house and family history of Alex, there was one thing that came out, and it was about Alex's ex, Jay. She was not a mere ex, but his fiancée. They were engaged. A month before the wedding, something happened and their relationship turned hostile. It happened a year ago before I met Alex, so there was no cheating involved. The concerning part was, Alex never told me about this. This was not just a fling that would have slipped his mind. They were about to get married. The agency gave me the details of that woman. I looked up about her on social media and saw that she was quite well off. Her father was a real estate businessman. A few days later, I showed up at her office. She was married. Just showing up at her house to talk about her ex-fiancé didn't sound decent. I introduced myself as Alex's wife and told her it was something important. She agreed to talk. I asked her about the reason for their breakup. She was reluctant to talk about her personal life. She seemed like a genuine person to me, and I had no option but to spill the beans first to get the information. I told her about the house stuff and she smiled. She was like, oh, finally he was successful in trapping someone for the house. Then she put down her guard and told me everything. She met Alex at a common friend's party and they hit it off. They dated for a year, in which Alex expressed his desire to own a house. Felt like a deja vu moment for me. Her father was into real estate, so she took his help to get some good property deals for Alex, but he kept rejecting one after another, saying it was beyond his budget. She was already living in a house gifted by her father. So Alex moved in with her instead of buying his own. They got engaged, but soon after that, Alex pestered her for transferring the house to his name. She tried to convince him that it didn't matter who owned it since they were getting married, but Alex used his sob story to manipulate her into giving the house to him. His sob story was as in, how his parents never were able to afford a own house and how he always wished to have a property to his name. She was almost convinced to give him that sentimental satisfaction, but her father intervened and disapproved of Alex's request. Alex tried to manipulate him too, and he agreed to let Alex co-own the house, but was also asked to sign a prenup which said that if there was a divorce, the house would go to her and under no circumstances Alex could sell it or make any changes in the ownership of the house. Alex refused to sign the prenup and they eventually called it quits. When I narrated my story of how I ended up paying for the mortgage, she smiled and affirmed that it was all an act to trap me into this. She also told me that Alex's parents are very conservative people and they were allowing him to marry her only because of her wealth. In Jay's case, when this matter was discussed, my mill was very aggressive in pushing her to agree to Alex's terms, and in one of the arguments she admitted that she doesn't like modern girls of our ethnicity because we are too dominating. It sounded quite believable because I was never able to get along with Alex's family. Rather, we never got to spend a lot of time together. Alex kept me aside, saying his family is conservative and he doesn't want to ruin my peace by letting them meddle in our life. Jay said that it was to keep me away from suspecting anything fishy. My mill was a cold person, that's true. And Alex never left me alone with her. I thought he was protective of me, but he was protecting himself and his family. I asked Jay if it's possible that Alex has changed now. She said she highly doubts it. She told me up front that once Alex got the house, he would divorce me and marry someone of his own community who was more homely and submissive. I wonder why he didn't marry someone of his choice in the first place. Jay said that the woman of his choice can't afford a house to give to Alex. That sounded outrageous, but it does make sense now. I wasn't thinking about the divorce until now, or maybe it was there at the back of my head and I was not acknowledging it. Let's see how it goes, but what information I got from Jay, I'm pretty sure that Alex is not the person he's been acting all this while. P.S. For people who still think I'm evil in letting go of the house without any confrontation with Alex, I'm not going to justify myself because I know what I'm doing is right at this moment. He tricked me into this and now he's gonna pay for it. Even if he does not intend to divorce me, he still has concealed so much crucial information from me which hints at his malicious intentions. I have been betrayed badly and now I don't care about his emotions at all. Update 3, I've been longing to make this update. The house is finally up for auction. I defaulted on the loan for 6 months and didn't respond to any of the payment calls. I got an email from the bank that they are sending a formal letter of intimation with the final deadline to pay the mortgage. Alex was in the city at that time, but I ensured that the letter didn't reach him. I was tracking it closely and as soon as it was dropped in my mailbox, I picked it up and destroyed it. Evil, yeah. Then, last month bank officials showed up at the house, telling me the outcome of defaulting it further. They informed me that if I didn't pay within the next 30 days, the house would be put up for auction. I nodded that I would try, but I'm okay to opt in for auction if I fail. Now that I have breached that timeline too, the house is finally up for an auction. Also, one more thing, apart from losing the house, Alex is going to suffer severely on his credit score. The loan was in his name, so officially he's a defaulter, not me. When the bank officials visited the house, they cautioned me that it takes years for a loan defaulter to get green on their credit score. Who cares? Good for my man. I received an intimation from the bank to be present for the auction. The owner of the house has to sign the final papers to hand over the possession. So basically the intimation was for my husband because the loan was in his name. Since he has now changed the ownership to his mother, not sure how this is going to work. Edit to add, my lawyer friend clarified that the house is a bank's asset until the mortgage is covered. Once it's over, it would be handed over to Alex and then he can transfer it to anyone he wants. So the document I found in his study was basically a will sort of thing, which was like the house would go to my mill after the mortgage was over. Any which ways he faltered on the promise he made to me that he would add me as the co-owner of the house. After meeting Jay, I'm pretty sure of his malicious intentions. My gut feeling is that he is betraying me. Update 4, the house is sold, but after a lot of drama, I'm glad I didn't get manipulated by Alex and his pretentious family. First of all, I had no clue how the auction procedure worked. I thought it would be like a normal one where all the bidders would place their quotation and the highest bidder gets it and then they move into the house and we move out. No, it doesn't work like that. The bank had put up the house for sale at a price that would cover their mortgage amount plus a premium interest rate on the principal amount. Meanwhile, we were given an eviction notice. I rented a house for myself when the notice came, so I shipped all the furniture and house decor with me. Only the stuff that particularly belonged to Alex, like his clothes and accessories, I left in the garage. The bank officials told me that whenever they got a suitable buyer, they would call us and Alex had to sign the final paper to hand over the house. I was waiting for the house to be sold first before breaking this news to Alex, but he showed up unexpectedly. He was shocked to find the house locked and his stuff lying on the front porch. He called me asking where was I. I told him at work. He was yelling at me as to why his stuff was scattered outside. I told him that the house was no longer his and the bank had seized it. He lost his mind. I was not able to see his expression on the phone call, but I'm sure he would have been flustered red with anger, and I was enjoying it. He bombarded me with sort of questions of how, why, when. I said I was at work and I needed to hang up, and if he needed any further details he could meet me at a cafe outside my office in the evening. My God. I'll tell you, he was at my office within an hour, but I didn't meet him until I wrapped up my day. He was just so furious to see me. He understood that I was messing around with him. He was like, "What did you do?" Before I revealed my cards, I wanted to see how far he could go. I said I defaulted on the loan because I had other commitments. He was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I said I was afraid and I had no clue that the house would be seized in case of a default. Maybe if we were not in a public place, he would have banged my head against the wall. I was cracking up from inside on seeing him like that. He went on and on saying how precious that house was to him. It was his dream and I had shattered it. He blurted out, "What's the point of marrying someone outside his community against his parent when he couldn't gain anything out of it?" It was shocking for me, but I didn't lose my resolve. When he was done venting out and abusing me, I gave him the paper I found in his study. He stood silent. He was like, "I can explain." He said that his parents had saved lifelong and they paid for the down payment of the house, so for their happiness he had just named them as an heir to the house. He was like, "My parents were already in their 70s and would die before us, so they would never be able to inherit the house. It would be ours always." That was such a dumb thing to say. I asked him why he hid that information, and why he didn't make me the co-owner of the house as he had promised, and most importantly why he hid his past with Jay. He was shocked to hear her name. He was like, "Oh, that bitch manipulated you." I said that the house was still not sold to others. If he was so keen about it, he could always pay the mortgage money and get it back from the bank. He said he didn't have that much money and pleaded with me to do something about it. I refused. He threatened me with a divorce and fraud case of defaulting on the loan. I said go ahead, but be ready to pay the price for that, and yes, the money which had paid for the house mortgage for the last 3 years. The same day, his mom called me and requested me for a meeting. That lady had never spoken to me in a complete sentence until that day, and now she was all so sweet. I went. It was about the same request of saving the house. I said how does it matter to her because it was not her house. She was lost for words and could not hide her true self. He turned bitter and said, "That's why I don't like girls of this country. They are big-mouthed like you and use their brains a lot more than required. My son is going to divorce you and marry the girl in our community, then you'll understand." I laughed at her face and said it was not 1950s that she could threaten me with a divorce and get away. The same evening I called up my lawyer friend and asked her to proceed with the divorce papers. I claimed the money I paid for the house and the compensation. I'm not sure if he would be able to bear that, but I don't care. People like Alex who prey upon others' emotions for their own benefit need to pay the price. When he got the papers, he called and pleaded with me to reconsider the divorce terms as he could not pay that huge amount, and that his parents had to sell off their grocery store to settle the amount. I said I didn't care and hung up. I'll make an update after the divorce is done. Until then I'm living my life freely and I have already gotten over this man in the last 7 months, so yeah, I'm cool about the whole separation thing. We also don't have a kid, which makes all of it better. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Discovered my wife has been secretly texting a guy from her grad school nonstop for months. She even baked him cookies and a meetup with her parents. We've been married for around 3 years, and we recently moved across the country so my wife could attend grad school. I found a career job in the new location and have been financially supporting us for the most part. She's been in her phone a lot more over the last few months. I've asked a few times who she's texting all the time, and she says it's just a friend from school. When I ask more questions she gets defensive. Wasn't sure what else to do, so unfortunately I took a peek through her phone, and I found out she's been texting some guy from her school all day every day and night. The texts last from like 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. every day. The texts seem innocent overall, nothing sexual or anything, but there are a few things bothering me. I went all the way to the beginning of the thread. The first issue is that this texting started when my wife asked a friend for this guy's number and then started texting him randomly. Next, she is always the one to text him first, and she double texts him every single time he stops responding. I wish I were exaggerating. I've also never met this guy, don't know how old he is, don't know what he looks like. Although the conversations seem innocent, it seems like she randomly texts him just to start a conversation, often tells him about her school drama, etc. It also seems like they spend lots of time at school together, playing some card game. She has even left dinner with me early to go back to the school and play cards with him. She invites him to spend one-on-one time, whether it's at school, at the bar, or wherever. When her parents came into town, she even invited this guy to the bar with her and her parents. Further, she baked cookies for this guy. She loves to bake, and I remember her one day baking a type of cookie she had never baked before. While I assumed she was baking them for a party she was going to that night, the text showed me that she baked them just for this guy. What makes it worse is the fact that she went out of her way to do it. I had the car that night, so she walked to the store in the rain to get the ingredients, baked the cookies, and brought them over to his apartment where she stayed for 2 hours. She did go to the party afterward but only stayed for a few minutes to say hi to a few people and left. One thing I've been a bit insecure about is the fact that my profession doesn't pay that great. She lived a very privileged lifestyle through her parents' bearer meeting me, and she is in grad school for a profession that generally pays significantly more than mine, like 5x what I make. She will make more in her summer internship than I make in a year. This guy she is texting is in the same profession. Reading these messages made me feel sick to my stomach. I just wanted to post here to see if this sounds fishy to anyone else. I'm not sure if anything physical has happened, but she has crossed some boundaries either way. How should I handle this? TLDR, wife is crossing major boundaries with a guy at her school. ETA, the meetup with the parents never actually happened. She did try and get him to go to the bar but the plan fell through. Also, in reading the text it seems like the guy tried to keep her at arm's length at first, keeping conversations short and not engaging too much, but over time started to become much more receptive and interested in actually talking. This has all happened over the course of about 5 to 6 months. ETA, I'm not paying for her school, just our living expenses for the most part. Update Raretta Jan 20, 2024. I deleted the original post, sorry. But I was able to have a conversation with the guy she's been texting. I got his number off her phone and just texted him saying, hey, this is _husband. I caught wind of what's been going on between you two and just wanted to see if you'd be willing to be honest with me about what has happened. He responded pretty quickly and was willing to meet with me for lunch in a public place, so we met. He's 23 and very good looking, I'll give him that. When we met for lunch, I started the conversation by asking him if he could give me his perspective on what's been happening between him and my wife. He started with a disclaimer that nothing physical has happened between them, and honestly I believe him. He seems like a decent guy. He told me he respects me and never wanted to get involved with a married woman, and he started the story from the very beginning. He'll tell it as if he were telling it. It goes like this. I approached her at the beginning of school because I found her attractive. I don't remember whether she was wearing a wedding ring, I'm not used to checking for that because most people my age generally aren't married. But when I approached her she seemed very interested, absolute zero indication she may have been in a relationship. When she found out I had a post-grad job offer, she was overly congratulatory. After talking to her more over the next few days, I asked for her Instagram, which she seemed hesitant to give, but she gave me her Instagram anyway. When I followed her I immediately realized she was married. I was floored due to her behavior, but I decided to fall way back. After falling back, I heard from some mutual friends that she seemed to be a bit offended that I stopped talking to her after finding out she was married. I found that a bit strange but whatever. Some drama transpired, so I went out of my way to avoid her for around a month or so, but after a while I felt the beef was a waste of my time, so I decided to give her a compliment to kinda communicate that I don't mind being cordial with her. She seemed ecstatic about the compliment, and I heard from mutual friends that she was going around telling people that we were friends again. Found that strange also, I just wanted to be cordial. Anyways we made up, and shortly thereafter I got a random text message from her telling me that she got my number from someone else. Third thing I found strange. The texts started pretty infrequent but gradually progressed to her texting me every day, double texting and all. She even seemed really pressed about me meeting her parents when they came into town. Still, I'm not sure what that was even about, but I dodged the invite and it never happened. At this point it seemed she was very interested in me, but I wasn't very responsive over text because she is married. Over time, however, my walls broke down slowly because I did enjoy the attention. She's inviting me to hang out one-on-one, playing cards with me, offering me to bake cookies, etc. She told me how upset she was over the fact that apparently you two had planned a trip for Thanksgiving to see her friends but didn't end up going because of a tight budget. She also told me that she would sleep on the couch a lot. We didn't talk much over final exams due to being busy, and we didn't really talk much over winter break. However, at the start of this new semester, the texting all day every day and double texting came back full force. At this point I kind of felt like she actually liked me and was pursuing me, but again I enjoyed the attention. She baked me the cookies the first week of school, brought them over and sat on my bed for 2 hours, but nothing physical happened. She honestly didn't seem interested in sex at all, even though I kinda wanted it to happen at that point. But here we are now. She still texts me every day and honestly it has become more frequent than ever before. That's the end of the story. This seems pretty consistent with the messages I read. Idrik, what to think of this, but it kinda seems like she's playing the long game with him in order to get him to fall in love with her so she can leave me. I appreciate the guy's willingness to meet with me, and honestly I believe what he is telling me. Seems like this is beyond the point of no return. I still plan on talking to her tomorrow, but I think this is it for me. I don't think there's really anything she can say that will change my mind at this point. It's over. I'll give an update if I feel up to it. Update 2 Jan 22, 2024. I deleted the original post unfortunately, but the previous post does a decent job of summing it up. I had the talk with her yesterday, and it's over, as crazy as it is. The guy actually didn't give her any heads up that we met, which I appreciated. Basically, I sat her at the dining room table and started by telling her that I heard what's going on between her and underscore. When she asked what I was talking about, I kinda just went through all the highlights of the emotional affair, highlighting the cookie situation, meeting the parents, incessant texting, disguising him as just a friend, etc. When I told her that it seemed to me as if she was obsessed with the guy, maybe even in love with him, and seemingly planning for my replacement, she immediately broke down crying. I almost felt bad but kinda didn't at the same time. She then told me that she only did it because she liked the attention and nothing more, and that she would cut him off immediately. I shook my head. She offered to find a couples therapist, while still belligerently crying, and I told her it seems like we're past that point already. Didn't really care whether she slept with the guy or not, this emotional situation was enough for me. Told her I'll be contacting an attorney this week and that she should do the same, and I walked out the door with her chasing me. I didn't even have anywhere to go, but I needed to just leave before she tried to convince me any further to stay. Didn't want to hear any BS. Received dozens of calls and texts while I was gone, and when I came back she just seemed devastated still. Got calls from her parents today as well, which I ignored. I haven't kicked her out the house or anything, not really sure what I want to do about that yet. I don't want her to be this guy or anyone else's burden. I'm just feeling kinda lost at this point. It's truly wild how abruptly this just ended after all this time. I moved to this state solely to support her, and now I'm just here. Majority of my friends and family are across the country. Maybe I should have seen the writing in the wall. Our relationship wasn't perfect. I've been pretty busy over the last year or so with work, and it seems like she took every chance she could to go to every single school party/outing she could without even inviting me 95% of the time. She was never home, and every time I asked any questions, she would chalk it up to studying. How could I really argue with that when she's in grad school? It may not be entirely her fault, but I'm glad I'm getting out of this before it got any worse. 3 years isn't a crazy amount of time, and now it's time to go find myself again. This does suck though. Thank you all for your support. It really has helped me come to terms with this ending.